So, Austin, thank you for being here. For those of our readers that may not know you, can you maybe quickly describe how you yourself see your music?
Well, first off, thank you for having me on here. I really appreciate it. What people don't know is I was struggling with technical difficulties back here, but we worked through them. But what was the question? How do I describe the music?
Yeah, yeah, just quickly, kind of how you yourself
Uh,
see your music.
I guess I like making very cinematic type pop music. You know, something that you can play a vision in your head, which honestly, I think that's why it works so well with like reading and building up that anticipation of a moment.
Yeah, I mean, since your time of The Voice, and I think it's in 2018, right? Your music kind of evolved, I think. So you had a start for more jazzy kind of songs, especially like She's an Actor or You Put a Spell on Me, changed that, I would say. Um, and also recent songs like No Mercy or Chokehold, I would say have a different kind of vibe to it. Can you say what is the reason why you changed that?
Yeah, well, so when I first got into music in 2017 because my dad sang in a jazz band, and so I grew up listening to like a lot of old like Ella Fitzgerald, Frank Sinatra, a lot of that type of jazz, and so that's what I always loved. I loved antiques, and The Voice happened by fluke. It's a kind of a long story, but to make it short, went to Philly, went through auditions because my mom signed me up, and I couldn't believe they kept letting me through. I was like, I don't sing. I don't know why I'm even next to these incredible singers. And it took me a while to realize, oh, maybe I should be singing and not like selling antiques. And so that's how it started, is jazz music. That's where I've always kind of grown up listening to that and other genres, but that was predominant. And then over the past few years, it's just been like, I feel like any artist, whether it's, painting, music, whatever the form of the creative is, it was just kind of started to evolve, and I started to try to find my own sound of, how do I capture the things that I love of jazz, which is that classiness, that uh, s- chest out, but not in like a jerky way, if that makes sense. But also the romance of it. And obviously, there's the Michael Bublé's that I love growing up, and that are very straightforward romance. And then, as you know, I'm sure you can understand this, like in our age, like there's so many other shades to romance that, like, I think some of the deepest ones are the ones that aren't talked about, or kind of behind the door, and good, bad, or indifferent. So I've been evolving into that sound, and then obviously Booktok a few years ago. That's where I learned a lot about um, these books. That it's so funny because sorry, I'm rambling.
No, all good.
It's so funny because I was making this music, and now I actually sound like a freak almost, because I was making this music just 'cause I loved it. I was like, God, this shit's so hot. I love this. And then I learned about some of these books. I'm like, what are these books? And I had no hobbies. Like, I was constantly making music full time, 24/7. And it was the first hobby I've had now since like when I was like a young teen. And so now I've read, dozens of books. And it's just mind blowing. That's mind blowing how authors can write those stories. So, anyways, that's kind of how the music got looped into Booktok. They kind of like kidnapped me in a sense.
I mean, you kind of talked about that a little bit, but would you say music is the art form you like the most then? And maybe also, how does your songwriting process kind of come about? Can you give fans a little bit inspo about your inspiration as well?
Yeah, I would definitely say music is the main thing. I do still I can't paint. I cannot draw. I have tried those. Um, I do like poetry. I feel like that's similar to music, but I don't know if I could ever write a book. Maybe, but that's beyond talent. That's like skill. That's a lot of learned hours on how to write. Um, but yeah, so music is the first one, and then I'm sorry, was there a back half a question to that?
If you have any inspiration in your life, maybe that continues to that,
Oh
to the
yeah,
songwriting.
I mean, it's personal experiences. It's also like friends that like share stories, and then some of them, some of them can pull elements from like if I'm reading at the time, like just naturally it'll pull into sessions. You know, I'll go to a writing session and like we're creating a song. You know, naturally, if I was just reading, I don't know, uh, Mist and Fury, like one of any book, whatever I was reading recently, probably is gonna have some influence just because it's so rich in context. You know, like I don't even know how to explain it. It's just
You know, I totally understand as a reader myself, it just fixates you in a bit, you know. So it's kind of funny as well because my next question to that is similar. Because I mean, Chokehold, the song of yours, right? That is the recent single, really. Mentions the book figure Sade Meadows in a way. So my question on that is if you read Haunting Adeline just before the song or during that songwriting process, or what made you incorporate this little bookish Easter egg?
you're gonna love this. I read Haunting and Haunting Adeline, I think a year ago or a year and a half ago, and it was the first book I that was the very first book I've ever read from Booktok.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? People are like, you're going to one of the heaviest. I'm like, I don't know how heavy it could be. And then I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I loved it. And then I read Hunting, and then I read Does It Hurt? I love H.D. Carlton's writing. Actually, tomorrow, October 20th, so you'll hit it before I will. But
Okay.
uh, I've been saving Where's Molly, her new book, because it
Mm.
starts off saying October 20th, like 7 years ago or 15 years ago. So I figure I'll start it tomorrow. Um, but I did read it. The story behind Chokehold is back, I think it was in like January or February. I was just having fun one night and just like responding to comments with quick songs. Like I probably made five. One of them was Chokehold, and it started off not in the serious way. Like it was someone left a comment. I'd have to go back and find it. Uh, Something about Haunting Adeline, and I was like, oh, I'll just make a song and be like, yeah, I'll be your Zayd. And you know, like obviously not because we know what Zayd does.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah, yeah.
um, and then people just kept asking. I'm like, oh my god, this I didn't plan to finish this thing. Like I only wrote 20 seconds of a song, and that's how She's an Actor it happened too. It just started as a snippet, and then there was like a lot of pressure to finish it. Um, so yeah, that took a life of its own. That one.
How long does writing a song for you usually take? I don't know. Is it, I mean, of course it's different, but
Yeah,
time-wise.
I don't. It is so different. I think the fastest one I've written would be like Chokehold was written. Um, the whole song was finished and probably once I decided, oh, I should finish this thing, it was probably done in like 24 hours. But then I sat on it for months because I'm like, I'm not gonna release this because to me it wasn't that musical. It was
Mm,
just like a hip hop beat that just repeated over and over, and I was like, all right, I have to release this. People will not leave me alone. So I went back to the writing. I'm like, all right, these lyrics are not, they're weak. I can do better. And so that's when I pulled in more, you know, I knew who wanted this song. So I'm like, I'd like to put as much in there without being like cheesy in a
yeah.
sense, because that's a tough balance to do. I'm happy with how it turned out because originally I did not like the first version of it.
I mean, I think we're all the most critical with ourselves, right? So I think it's a good song, but yeah. And generally, are you still amazed by your 1.1 million followers on TikTok and the great success on the platform? Because I mean, it's probably overwhelming, right? I mean, yeah,
Yeah, well, I think the thing I'd say most is I'm just like appreciative of it. Like people taking their time to just watch stuff, you know, because there's so much better things that people could be watching, probably things that help them. Maybe the music does help them. But yeah, I mean, I'm grateful that people just take the time to listen to music, share it, and that they enjoy it, you know, because it's kind of like I have to imagine authors feel this way, or really any creative that makes anything, of you get so excited making music or making whatever it is, and it's a story and showing your friends and watching their reactions, like, oh my God, they love it too, sweet. And then the moment you put it into the world, it's like you just kind of lose it. Like you still love it, but you can never keep that same feeling because it doesn't belong to you anymore. Like
Hmm.
people, their own thing to say about it, they use it how they want. So, um, going back to it,
Yeah.
I do understand how lucky I am. You know.
Um, with your fan base, especially being in the Booktok community, right? Why do you think this came all about? I mean, I think probably a lot of fans you have started from The Voice as well, right? But why do you think now it's such a strong fan base with this community? Like,
Um.
why do you think it started maybe to
Yeah.
grow there?
Well, you know what's interesting? I found that I definitely still have some fans from The Voice, but it is very minuscule. And those type of fans from the get go, I'll always make sure if I can, no, I will make sure that they are taken care of when they come to shows or everything. Just for them being a fan, I think it's a testament of being a fan of what I'm doing because my music was so different. So when I made the switch, a lot of that audience was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! This is very different than what I'm used to." He's not singing other people's songs anymore. Um, and then in regards to Book Talk, um, I don't know if I had the answer of why specifically. If I had to make an assumption, um, I think there's just shared values, like the things at least I like might align with some readers. And I, you know, also growing up, I I'm lucky enough to have grown up with a sister in a healthy situation with my family, and I think the context of the music I make could be a slippery slope for somebody if you don't have the right insight on it. I don't know,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like it's
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you gotta
No,
yeah.
I
There's
totally
no
understand what you mean, though. I mean, it's kind of like a balance, right? I mean, it's also if you read that and if you hear it, it's kind of the similar, right, thing. You kind of have to understand it's more like fiction and not what you should have in a relationship, maybe, or something, maybe,
yeah. You know,
right?
there's a quote. I forget who said it, but there's nothing wrong with being a gentleman and knowing when not to be a gentleman. But there's also like respect and not being an asshole. Can I swear on
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Uh, which you know what you know, and I'll say this: read the last book I was reading, and um, I think she did fantastic writing it, and I could totally understand why people love it. I did like it more towards the end, but it was a tough one for me to get into because of the character was the ritual, and
Oh,
I get there's a lot of love there, and I'm not knocking it. I think it was a very great read, like how it was written. I just, in regards to Riot, as a guy reading it, I was like, you know, Zayd was one thing. It's like, all right, he's got his problems, but he seems like he does decent. Like he has good morals of what he's
yeah,
trying
yeah,
to
yeah.
do. Whereas Riot was just an ass. I'm like, I would not hang with this guy. Like he's cocky. He's not a good dude. But regardless, that's just my perspective. So
No, I totally understand what you mean. I think it's funny because the ritual, I've read like comments of yours before doing this, of course, and people were like, "Oh, read the ritual," right? And I've read it myself, and I think it's kind of what you said, like uh, the person itself, or like the fictional fictional character itself, isn't that great in comparison to others. But I don't know why the story really sucks you in. But yeah, that's that. But yeah, I totally understand. Is this the last book you read?
yeah, that and
Um,
then now I'm starting. Where's Molly?
oh
I
yeah,
was
okay.
gonna read Credence, which I know is some crazy something with an uncle or something,
Yeah,
but this one I just want to read because I really do love her writing, and it's perfect for this time of year. You know, I mean the
yeah.
book starts on October 20th, so it'll be perfect for tomorrow.
Yeah, totally. So do you have any book you may recommend for your fan base that some maybe have not read yet? It could be dark romance, but also like normal other fictional books. And maybe if you can answer that, it would be also possible to ask what's your general favorite book you've ever read?
I would say a friend of mine, Jordan A. Day. There's so many great books, truly,
Yeah.
and I think the sorry, I'm getting a call. Let me just decline that. Um, I don't say this book is better than any other one. I'm saying this mostly because this is somebody I got to meet in the early Booktok days, and her writing's fantastic. And I might be saying it backwards, but it's a ripple of promise or power, or a ripple of power and promise. I
Hmm.
can't remember, but that was a fantastic book, and I read that one. That's by Jordan A. Day, and I read that before I read. I'm gonna say it wrong, Akhtar, but
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like I said something else. But anyways, I read that before that series, and that was my first fictional book, and I thought that was really um, that was to me that was like CGI of the music or of the book space. It was like, wow, this is like super creative, and I didn't know what the heck a fae was or any of that stuff.
Mm.
So it was a learning curve. But I would recommend that. That was great. I don't. I feel like I have to just stay consistent and say haunting, only because it was the first, and it was such a great read. Like it wasn't like, all right, that was all right. What else is there? Like it was a great way to get introduced. Definitely not for everybody because it does have some pretty sensitive. We don't have to talk about, it, but sensitive stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody should be conscious of whatever their historical context background is.
Yeah, it's not for, I would say, the regular reader of romance, maybe or something. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, maybe let's get back a little bit to your music. You really recently just dropped your great new duet called Against Me with the talented Scout Skier. How did that collab come about? And maybe talk a little bit about the initial song idea behind that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first off, Scout is incredible. I met Scout like a year and a half ago. So I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and there is a lot of pop music here, but obviously it's predominantly country music. A friend of mine who owns a label service company called Interstate Music, he was hosting this night where a bunch of writers come in and you sing your songs, and I was a part of it. It was a fun night, and Scout was playing. And I remember telling my friend Jeff, I'm like, she's really incredible. I think she could really do well in the pop space. And I just like she's like so meek. She's a sweetheart of a girl, and so yeah, that was the first introduction. And then maybe I don't know, 5 months, 6 months later, I'm in writing sessions, helping her write some songs. He's starting to develop her as an artist, and we get in a room with my two producers, and with Scout, and we're writing the song for her. And she's like, I want to write a song like that's got that dark feel. Like this is why I think you would be great in this. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And normally I'm writing these songs at like 11 o'clock at night, 1 in the morning. We're writing this at like 10 in the morning. Birds are chirping. I'm like, this is unusual to write a song like this in the daytime, um, with everyone in this room here. So anyways, the song came to be and it was like fantastic. I was like, wow, this is really good. I couldn't stop listening to the little quick recording we made that day for a few weeks. And then I texted Scott. I'm like, hey, if you ever want somebody on this, I would be happy to, and I'd be happy to share you to the world and help others learn about you. And she said yes. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. I love this song. And so that's what this is. So um, this is a co-release, but it's really for Scout, and I want people to learn how incredible she is. I love the song, um, and again, that's like a song that can be pulled from personal, other people in the room's experiences, um, and then we'll have a new single. We'll probably start teasing it next week, so which I'm really excited about. We teased 3 songs on Instagram to see which one to release, and we finally figured out which one it's going to be. So that'll be
Yeah,
exciting.
I'm really excited for it. I think it's a great song that you guys released. So congrats on that. And I think fans will love that too. So maybe if we look at your upcoming tour as well, um, what is something that you look forward to for your upcoming tour? Can you maybe give fans a little tease about what they can look forward to, maybe songs and other things? Yeah.
Yeah. Has anyone ever told you you would like fit perfectly in like an autumn like rom-com? Like your pale hair, the blacks, like you like fit autumn right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say people called me that I have a fall vibe going on, but thanks.
That's good. Um, the tour. Yeah, so we're going overseas next month. This will be my first time ever in Germany.
Oh,
Um,
really?
and
Okay.
in London, which I'm really excited about. So I'll have all my guys with me. We're gonna do Frankfurt. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, Frankfurt, we would say that, but Frankfurt is the English way. So
Wait, how do you say it?
Frankfurt,
Frankfurt.
it's more like an ah, so Frankfurt.
Frankfurt.
Yeah,
Frank.
that's correct. Yeah,
Oh, I will probably
but
forget that. Frankfurt.
yeah, it's all
Well,
good, but Frankfurt is definitely correct
well, my
in the
drummer
English way.
Clemens, he was born and raised in Germany for many, I think like 20 something years, and so
Yeah,
he he's based up in most of my band's up in New York City, and so they'll be flying out, so I get to bring him home, so we'll have him back in the stomping grounds, so I'm super excited about that. We'll be playing some new songs. We'll play Against Me as well as this new single coming out, and then we might sing a couple new ones because we will have an album coming out in the first quarter of next year, and then probably like a 20 to 30 city date tour in the US, and then we'll go back overseas probably in the fall next year.
really nice. I hope you sing my favorite song, which is You Put a Spell on Me. So, but I think that will probably be there because I mean, it's one
No,
of
not
your.
no,
No?
I'm saying it. I'm saying it.
Okay, because like that is really one of, I guess, not only me but also the people from our magazine. When we pitched the idea, they were all like, this is the most creative song we've heard, so just pointing that out.
Yeah, oh,
um, but yeah, we look forward to seeing you there, and I think your fans as well. I mean, I've seen the response online, and I think it will be a really nice tour you will have. And are you staying in Germany for like a couple of days so you can see the country, or in London as well, or is it more like a quick stop over?
no, we will like the so we're gonna fly in on the 16th, so we'll have most of the day on the 16th there, most of the day of the 17th, then the show, and then the next day, the 18th. I think we're going right to Berlin, and then we're gonna hang in Berlin for most of the day, and then the next day is the show, and then we fly out at like 6 in the morning to London to catch our 2 p.m. flight out of London back to the States. The 20th is gonna be rough, but
Yeah.
it's worth it.
I
Yeah.
mean, hopefully you'll see some cool things as well on the way. Maybe from all your songs, what is your general favorite, and also maybe to perform live, and why?
Um. Hmm. What is my favorite? I feel like it's a tie until I start singing these new ones. Some of these new songs coming out are my absolute favorite songs I've ever done. So those will be them. But as of right now, I think it's tied between Dangerous Hands and a song called Gracie. Two
Oh yeah,
very different vibes, completely different style songs. Um, I like Dangerous Hands because it gets chaotic. Everyone there knows that song and it's fun. And I haven't gotten sick of it, surprisingly. And I like Gracie because of the story. And I love it's a little bit more loose and a little bit more I can have some like vocal acrobatics in it, and I can like really sing on it. Whereas some of the other ones are just kind of like straight
yeah.
pop.
I mean, I'm eager to see if that's gonna stay that way after the tour, and if you then have another favorite, maybe because of crowd reactions or something. But yeah, good to know. Definitely. I mean, both songs really good. Maybe before we close this, We have an artist recommendation playlist from the Unseen magazine, and we always ask our artists, what is your favorite music? Like other artists you listen to, can you maybe name a few artists or like one or two songs that you would love to put on this playlist?
What is the vibe of the playlist?
I mean, everything really. It's really just the favorite songs of the artists we interview. So totally different from, yeah, really all.
And they have to be up and coming artists?
No, can be everything really.
Okay, maybe I'll do
So
smaller artists or up and coming, I should say. And then one of my and then just one of my all-time favorite songs. One of my all-time favorite songs would be Days of Wine and Roses by Frank Sinatra. And then another one, let me just think of like uh oh my god, let me think. Give me a second.
all good.
Oh man, there's so many. It's like, this is one of those questions like, what's your favorite movie? It's like, I've never seen a movie in my life, and you've seen all the movies. Um, oh my God. Anything. Oh God. Oh, okay, I know. There's this country kid in town I just love his music. You gotta like country. Um, but he has a song called Evergreen. His name's Dipper. I do love that song. That one's like a little guilty pleasure of mine. I love that song.
Yeah, I mean, as Europeans, we usually don't listen to as much country, but I think now and then people have guilty pleasure country songs, so we're excited to have that on there as well. But yeah, that's really almost it. So we're excited to see you at the concert.
Okay. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you again, seriously, for taking the time out of your evening, I should say, to have this.
Yeah, thank you for answering us and taking the time as well. We're happy to have you on here, and yeah.